Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Or if you are new here, welcome. So you are looking for the perfect AI, right? I get it. It feels like every single day there's a brand new AI model dropping. Different versions, fine-tuned ones, mashups, distillations, and whatnots. Honestly, just keeping up can feel like a full-time job in itself. Seriously trying to track which AI is actually good for what you need, it's becoming a maze. Sometimes it can feel like very confusing world out there. Whether you are dreaming of building the next big AI app or just want to use AI to make your everyday life a little easier, choosing the right model can feel totally overwhelming sometimes. But do not worry, that's exactly what we are tackling in this video. I am going to break down a few key resources that are going to seriously simplify your AI model search. Think of it as your shortcut to finding the perfect AI for your specific needs. No more endless scrolling and confusing comparisons. We're going to talk about some awesome platforms and benchmarks that are already doing the hard work of testing and evaluating these AI models. They are like the ultimate AI scorekeepers, making it way easier for us to see which models are actually performing and where they shine, their strengths and weaknesses, right? Some of these platforms aren't actually judging the AI themselves, but are super efficient in organizing data all from various sources. They gather all the results from different tests and benchmarks, making it super easy for us to compare apples to apples. And the best part, they focus on making this information clear and accessible for everyone. On the other hand, some other players are actually developing tests and evaluation frameworks to test the AI models in all sorts of ways, where they test them in real world tasks, right? So what kind of tests are we talking about? Let's dive into some of the most important names in the AI benchmark world first. These are names you want to know. But watch till the end as I actually share the actual resources to check the real world performance and leaderboards of the AI models in all these tests and benchmarks. But if you are already familiar with the benchmarks like the ones that I am going to share in a few minutes, in a few seconds, like ArcAGI, AIME tests, the GPQA, the humanities last exam, etc. If you are already familiar with all these kind of benchmarks, then you can just skip to that part of the video where I actually show you the resources to actually test and see how the models are performing based on these benchmarks. But first, let's get an overview of the tests and benchmarks. So, benchmark 1, ArcAGI. First up, we have got ArcAGI. That stands for Abstraction and Reasoning Corpus for Artificial General Intelligence. Yeah, mouthful, right? But what it does is super cool. Think of it like this. ArcAGI tests an AI ability to think logically and abstractly. It's kind of made to specifically test for AGI level, performance or AI model outcomes. Artificial general intelligence, that has been the holy grail of all the AI companies to develop. So ArcAGI tests an AI ability to think logically and abstractly, kind of like humans do. It's actually inspired by those Raven's progressive matrices tests. The ones with patterns where you have to figure out the missing piece. That kind of tests. So exactly like that, ArcAGI throws tasks at AI that require real thinking, pattern recognition, strategic planning, not just spitting back memorized information. It's all about seeing if the AI can handle tasks that need that human-like spark of cognitive problem solving. Things like understanding project permanence or even just basic geometric intuition. Pretty neat. Now let's move on to the next benchmark, that's called AIME. AI Mathematical Evolution. Actually, this one's pretty self-explanatory. AIME puts AI models to the ultimate math test. It's actually based on the American Invitational Mathematics Examination, which is a tough math competition. We are taking complex mathematical problems here. We're talking about complex mathematical problems here. The kind that need abstract and rule-based logic to crack. So AIME isn't just checking if an AI can do simple calculations, it's digging deep into its reasoning abilities beyond just language patterns. Can it actually think mathematically? That's what AIME wants to find out. Benchmark number 3 is GPQA. For graduate level Google Proof Q&A. The GPQA takes things up a notch. It tests an AI's ability to answer super advanced graduate level questions across a whole bunch of subjects, like biology, physics, chemistry, the real complex stuff, right? Now, these aren't your average trivia questions. GPQA uses multiple choice questions written by actual experts in these fields. They are designed to be challenging even for human experts. So, GPQA is really testing the depth of an AI's knowledge and how well it can handle really complex, specialized questions. Now, let's move on to the benchmark number 4, which is a kind of interesting one. It's called the Humanities Last Exam, HLE. For a benchmark with a dramatic name, Humanities Last Exam, this one sounds intense and kind of is, right? HLE is designed to be a super comprehensive benchmark, really pushing AI systems to the very edge of human knowledge. It's multimodal, meaning it includes questions across tons of subjects, math, humanities, natural sciences, and also tests the AI model's ability across like sensory capacities like visual, auditory, and real world physics, etc. And it's not just surface level stuff. HLE really emphasizes world-class mathematics problems. It's all about testing those deep reasoning skills to the absolute limit. The name Humanities Last Exam is a bit tongue-in-cheek, but it highlights that this is meant to be the ultimate academic benchmark for AI. Now let's move on to the next benchmark, which is also another important one. That's called SWE Bench. SWE stands for software engineering. This one's for all of your techies out there. SWE Bench is all about testing an AI skill in the world of software engineering. We are talking things like code generation, debugging, understanding software documentation, all the stuff real software engineers do every day. So SWE Bench is crucial for figuring out how well AI models can actually help us with software development. Can they automate parts of the process? Can they be a real assistant for programmers? Or can they actually go on to replacing the programmers? SWE Bench helps us answer these questions. Now, another benchmark number 6, MMLU. Moving right along, let's talk about MMLU. This one stands for Measuring Massive Multitask Language Understanding. Seriously, MMLU is all about testing how well an AI can understand and respond to just about anything you throw at it. We're talking a massive range of topics here. To put it to the test, MMLU uses a whopping 16,000 multiple choice questions covering 57 different academic subjects, everything from math and philosophy to law and even medicine. It's like giving an AI a college level exam across almost every department. So MMLU really digs into the breadth and depth of an AI language smarts across all sorts of different fields. Can it handle a conversation about astrophysics as well as it can discuss art history? MMLU wants to know. Now, benchmark number 7, Human Eval. Next up, we have got Human Eval. The name gives this one away a bit, doesn't it? Human Eval is all about evaluating an AI's code generation skills. Can it actually write code that works? That is the question. This benchmark gives AI models real programming problems to solve. The challenge, they have to generate code that's not just correct, but also efficient. We're not just looking for code that runs, but code that runs well. So Human Eval really tests the particular side of AI coding. Can AI be a real tool for software developers? Can it? So in a way, it's kind of similar to the SWE bench. Now let's talk about the big bench. That's Beyond the Imitation Game benchmark. This one's all about pushing the boundaries. Big Bench is designed to evaluate a huge range of AI abilities that go way beyond what traditional benchmarks usually test. It's a massive collaborative effort with tons of different tasks thrown in, testing everything from language understanding and reasoning to even creativity. Think of it as a giant playground for AI designed to see just how far these models can really go. It's all about testing the limits of AI and seeing what they're truly capable of. Even with unconventional, super challenging tasks, Big Bench is really pushing the field forward. Now, there's also another more advanced version of this Big Bench AI test, AI evaluation benchmark, that's called the Big Bench Extra Hard, BBEH. So it's more advanced, more difficult test for the AIs. Big Bench Extra Hard, right? The name makes it quite hard. Anyways, and finally we have drop. That's discrete reasoning over paragraphs. So this one's all about reading comprehension, but with a twist. Drop is a reading comprehension benchmark, but it's not just about finding simple facts in text. It's designed to test an AI's ability to do discrete reasoning over paragraphs. Basically, can it really understand what it's reading and do some logical thinking based on it? Drop uses question-answer pairs based on paragraphs, mostly from Wikipedia, but there's a kicker: the questions are complex. They make the AI resolve references within the paragraph and even perform operations like addition, counting, and sorting. It's not just about finding keywords, it's about deep understanding. So you might be thinking, okay, these benchmarks are great, but where do I actually see how different AI models stack up? Good question. That's where leaderboards and model evaluator websites come in. Now there are tons of these out there. So for this video, I really dug deep and checked out all the top and popular ones to bring you only the most useful and comprehensive ones. I was looking for a few key things. First, model coverage. I wanted to make sure the leaderboards tracked a wide range of models. Secondly, I looked at how extensive and robust their benchmarking methods were. Basically, are they using good tests? Are they reliable? But above all, the most important thing for me was ease of access and how well they presented the information. I wanted to make sure these leaderboards were super easy to understand, even if you're not a total AI expert. No confusing jargon or complicated charts, right? Just clear, straightforward results. And the first website that really stood out, the one that's the most comprehensive in terms of user experience and just plain easy browsing, is LLMstats.com. LLM-stats.com. Seriously, if you are just starting out and want to quickly get a handle on model performance, this is your go-to. The dashboards are fantastic. Let's actually take a super quick walkthrough of LLMstats.com right now, just to give you an idea of how easy it is to use. Okay, then now it's time for the main part, the meaty part of the video, to look at the resources regarding the leaderboards, benchmarks, and model rankings that you can utilize to get to the most useful and the best model for your daily use cases, right? So the first off, as I have mentioned, the LLMstats.com. Now, if you go to the website, you will find the user experience is very, very nice, very easy to browse and easy to understand. The first off, you can see it mentions that the benchmarks are live and updated daily. So that's one of the important things, given the insane speed at which things are changing. And right on the front page, you can see a nice little chart that shows the position of all the different models, that the major models that are coming out and where they stand in terms of the GPQA score that we have just discussed earlier, the graduate level Google proof question and answer benchmark. So on the benchmark, we can see that O3 from OpenAI is ranking on the top with the highest score of 87.70. Not much far behind stands the Grok 3 Mini from XAI and Cloud A 3.7 Sonnet. Now both of these models were released, like the Cloud 3.7 was just released the last week, and Grok 3 Mini was released 2 weeks ago, and O3 was kind of released a few months ago probably. So we can see the most recent models are, as we can predict, to be at the top right now. Google is kind of falling behind here, you can see. Anyways, let's move on to the other features of the LLM stats. You can use filters based on your needs and also the company name, model manufacturer, other filters as well. You can also filter the data that you want to see. Now the main chart shows us, apart from the benchmarks, they also show some other important factors that make the evaluation process for us, make the evaluation process of AI models for us a bit easier. Specifically, the context window. A parameter count is definitely another important criteria that makes like how large the model is or how robust the model is. So definitely parameters are important. Now you might wonder why there is no OpenAI models here, right? Because they do not disclose their parameter count. So input token, the price of the input and output token is also here that you can utilize while planning your costs for using your models. Then here comes the main benchmarks that we discussed: GPQA, MMLU Pro, Drop, then Human Eval. Apart from that, they have also some other task-based, easy to grasp summaries like rankings here available. Like for best code, they have taken into account the Human Eval benchmark, where Sonnet 3.5 is ranking the highest. Then MMLU Pro benchmark that we discussed about, the measuring massive multitask language understanding, where DeepSeek R1 is ranking the highest. Now GPQA benchmark, as we just talked about, the best LLM based on knowledge is O3. Longest context window that's where Google actually wins. Their Gemini 1.5 Pro has largest context window input tokens as far as input tokens is concerned. The cheapest API provider, fastest API provider. Now they go even much more detailed into all these leaderboards, specific benchmarks, and which one is performing how. So you can see this LLM stats is enough for making sense of all that's been going on in the AI testing, evaluation, and benchmarking, right? Lots of data and information, and quite easy to understand. And another good features is that you can individually check each and every model and all their details, release dates, knowledge cutoff. This is an important criteria, input output, whether they are multimodal or not, whether the model by default has web access or not, whether it's fine-tunable or not. So like lots of individual data points on individual models, as well as you can compare and contrast, custom compare. For example, let's compare Cloud 3.7 Sonnet versus O3 Mini, and you will get a comparative study across different benchmarks. Notably better performance in the majority of the benchmarks. So Cloud 3.7 Sonnet supports multimodal inputs, O3 Mini does not. So lots of comparisons, and all the way that you can compare and contrast and look at the models, right? So this is all you need, to be frankly speaking. Now, one thing that I mentioned earlier, that they are just data aggregator, and kind of their whole purpose is to gather data from all the various sources, right? Benchmarks, pricing, and model specifications are sourced directly from official channels, right? Research papers, technical documentation, and official blog posts. So that's why they can afford to invest enough time to make things user friendly. Their whole agenda is to make data available and accessible, right? And other players that I will be talking about in a few seconds, they are more of a model evaluators and model benchmark developers themselves, right? Take for example Scale AI. They have their C leaderboards, and they kind of evaluate and create leaderboards and benchmarks on which they test the models as well, right? So take for example the Enigma Eval. It's their homegrown evaluation system. Multi-challenge and Humanity's Last Exam also is their own benchmark. You can individually see the performance of all the models on each of the evaluations that they have developed. Now, some of their evaluations are interesting in terms of that compared to the more common and largely used evaluations that we have seen at level. What Scale AI does is they focus in such a way that they try to create evaluations and benchmarks that are harder than the traditionally available ones, because the newer models are coming out and they are saturating the benchmarks. That means that all the models are performing quite similarly, or they're like surpassing the skills, surpassing the abilities to be enough for the traditional benchmarks. That's why they are always on the lookout for developing newer, better, or more challenging benchmarks, right? So all these evaluations and benchmarks are kind of deep, kind of expansive and complex. Humanity's Last Exam, as we have already discussed. Visual language understanding, vision. Agentic tool use for chat, agentic tool use for enterprise. How the models are kind of advanced enough? How are they using tools in a way that makes it easier to develop AI agents, right? So the next stop on our journey of exploring the AI leaderboards is the LMArena.ai. Now what LMArena does is, it's interesting because it does not test the AI models like the other players do. They do not test them privately using their own developed testing criteria or the evaluation methodology or their own private datasets. What LMArena does, it depends on the data. Like users go into their platform and tinker with the AI models and or ask questions, and LMArena kind of gives replies, two sets of replies or a couple of replies from anonymous models, and prompts the user to judge which reply is the better one. And based on those votes, they rank the models. So this is kind of crowdsourced interactive way of ranking models and creating the leaderboards, right? Like the models will be anonymous, right? But when you vote for the answer that kind of seems better to you, then they disclose it. You can experiment with chat, text to image, and they have recently launched a web LMArena.ai where you can like build web apps, web applications, right? Like test, for example, gamified task manager. Now it will show two responses or two web apps generated by two different AI models, and then it will ask you to vote. And based on those votes, they will create their leaderboard. And now you can see the arena score based on the calculated based on the user votes, right? So this is language skills, language capabilities. You can see the Grok 3 preview has been kind of retaining the first position since its launch. GPT 4.5, it was just launched this week, and interestingly, it has also crossed the 1400 threshold. Prior to the release of Grok 3, no models kind of crossed this threshold of 14,000, but after 4.5 released, it seems like has crossed the 1400 score. That's kind of good. The competition is heating up. So this is language. Now let's see price analysis. You can check the price analysis. Arena score based on the arena score, right? And the cost. So depending on like how good the model is and how costly it is, you can see just right at this chart. This x-axis is showing the price and the y-axis is showing the arena score, right? So Google 2.0 Flash is even cheaper than DeepSeek. So the best and the most cheapest now is Gemini 2.0 Flash, right? That's how you can easily understand what's going on with the models, their performance and pricing and everything. Now web dev arena leaderboard, the leaderboard just we were testing out. One of the model has actually failed to compile our gamified task manager, and another model kinda, let's see what happens right here. Task complete points 10. So this one is better than this one because this one has actually failed to compile, right? Now let's vote. Left is better, and we'll be able to see which one was. Okay, so the left one was Quen Max. So probably this could be some system error as well, right? Maybe it was not the fault of the model. So you get the point, right? You go there and test out different models and vote. Interesting. On the web dev arena, you can see the Cloud 3.7 has been taking the top position since its release. You can see the vision scores, vision capability tested by the users on LMArena. Then text to image, the Imagen 3.0 from Google ranks on the top. And there is Recraft V3 Luma, Ideogram, Flux, DALI. Now another very interesting feature of LMArena is the prompt to leaderboard feature, where you can kind of prompt what you want your model to do, and it will rank all the models based on your prompt. Like take for example, what do you want to do? Help me write a bedtime story, or create HTML, CSS, JS, or summarize Harry Potter in Chinese, or your task. Based on your task, it will rank the models that are most likely to perform the best in your task, right? Take for example, help me write a bedtime story. That's your prompt, that's your task, right? And then it's ranking Gemini 2.0 Flash for your task, specific task. Now P2L Explorer is another very interesting. You can like explore all the kinds of tasks and all the different niche and types of creative and see which model might be the better for, like if you want to create some stories related to hypnosis and manipulation, you might go for early Grok 3 or Gemini 2. Okay, so you get the point, right? You can play around with this for finding various tasks and finding out which model would be better for that specific task. Very interesting. So yeah, this is mostly about the LMArena. Now let's move on to the next benchmark, next model evaluator, or the model benchmark leaderboard is from Hugging Face. The Hugging Face is the largest repository of open source AI models and AI tools and everything. It is mostly for the developers who can collaborate on developing open source models and creating open source distillations, refinements, and fine tunes of various models, and create spaces to collaborate on developing AI tools. They have also their own LLM leaderboard, but keep in mind that these only takes into account the open sourced models. That's why the number of models here is like very, very high and very specific. These models sometimes can be built with very specific purpose in mind, but this is more suitable for developers to look into the developments into the open source world and to look at all the mashups that has been coming up and their respective use cases and capabilities. So far we have discussed and talked about mostly the LLMs, large language models. Now what about the image, video, and audio models? They also have their own leaderboards. Now, one of the best and the easiest to browse and utilize is that artificialanalysis.ai. Artificial analysis, they also rank the large language models, general language models. And what's interesting for the artificial analysis.ai is, apart from giving all the data, they also have a nice way of looking at all the models from different companies and looking at their core factor. But artificialanalysis.ai, their main use case I find the most interesting is text to image, speech to text, text to speech, speech to text, video generation. So this is why I use this to see what's going on in this field of the AI landscape, right? They also have an arena like LMArena where you can go and vote. A luxurious bathroom with a freestanding bathtub, marble floors and crystal chandelier. Which one seems better? I think this one seems better, right? Prefer. It was Flux One Dev Janus Pro. Based on these arena, we have the leaderboard, the image generation leaderboard. You on this page you can also filter out based on the type of image that you want to generate. Probably take for example cartoon and illustration. Which model does better? The Imagen 3 does better. What about vintage and retro? Recraft AI. That's interesting, right? So let's take for example video arena. There will be videos generated and you can vote which model's video looks better to you, and based on those votes the leaderboards will be generated. So as we can see, VO2 is kinda topping the charts. What about text to speech? OpenAI is doing better. They also have the quality versus price chart that you can utilize to find out maybe somewhat of a middle ground. So yeah, interesting. And another benchmark that's out there for evaluating the AI models based on their image and video generation capabilities is Gen AI Arena by Tiger Lab. Here you can see the performance based on the image generation, number of votes. The score was calculated based on the number of votes. Video generation leaderboard, cog video. As the Google's VO2 is not yet like totally launched, it has limited access to the community. That's why probably it is not yet launched in the arena. Open Sora. So this is also another thing that you need to keep in mind, that some of the leaderboards may not include all the models. That's something to keep in mind while looking at the leaderboards. There is yet another leaderboard to check out the audio, video and image models is the label box. They kind of make it very easy to quickly glance at what's going on, understand the model capabilities. Very short and simple charts, even a child can understand, right? So you can keep this also in your list of leaderboard. They are ranking Luma Dream Machine 1.5 based on the ELO rating. Evaluating video and image models can be difficult without having a human in the loop, right? As you have to see and understand what's going on. Here yet another leaderboard, rapid data leaderboards for image models and video models separately available. So this is for video model. We can see OpenAI Sora. They probably also have not got their hands on to the Google VO2. Then we have the image models, Flux from Black Forest ranking the highest, then XAI and Google. I think armed with all these resources, and all these resources would be quite enough for you to dive into the world of AI evaluation and benchmarking. So there you have it, just a few of the amazing benchmarks out there helping us navigate the crazy world of AI models. Instead of feeling lost in the sea of options, you can now use these resources to quickly narrow down your choices and find the AI that's truly the best fit for you and your project. I'll put links to all these benchmarks in the description below so you can explore them further. Let me know in the comments which benchmark you find most interesting, or if you know of any other great resources for evaluating AI models. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more breakdowns of the exciting world of AI. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.